The guild member calls all the adventurers over, informing them that Mr. Akira is currently providing sweat wiping services and that those who wish can join the queue. The working adventurers are surprised that Akira, who previously carried water for them, agreed to this task, but they still rush to take advantage of this chance. Each of the girls strives to be the first, and one pushes the others aside, which, of course, is not entirely fair, which is what her friend hastened to tell her. The blonde adventurer tells the one in a hurry that everyone will be wiped out equally if they behave quietly. The girls in line chat animatedly, waiting for their time, and she pouts her lips slightly offendedly. Akira is stunned and confused by the appearance of the first of the girls. He freezes with the rag in his hands, not daring to move. She closes her eyes, smiles back without embarrassment, and asks the hero to try his best with this task. But Akira is still in a state of shock. He closes his eyes and covers them with his hand, asking his question and asking to wait. The adventurer explains her actions by saying that she simply felt hot. She asks if Akira is okay, since his entire face has turned red. With darkened eyes, the girl suggests that he is simply a lustful guy. The girl who previously called everyone to the sweat wiping procedure ponders why it is so popular among adventurers. She falls into a fantasy of men's fingers wiping transparent sweat from a woman's body, and this makes her feel hot, and a blissful smile stretches her lips. She thinks that if she wasn't a guild member, she would definitely be one of the girls waiting in line. Akira looks at her excited expression with confusion. The employee bows to the guy, thinking that this could increase motivation and work efficiency, to which Akira only sighs. He was called here for a special job that only a man can do, and he, unsuspectingly, agreed because it was an easy task. Meanwhile, the adventurer urges the hero on, threatening to complain to the guild member if he doesn't wipe her off properly. With an embarrassed sigh and a flushed face, Akira meets the feminine charms and begins to do his job. His hands are shaking from a little nervousness, but work is work, so he begins to wipe the girl, ridding her of the sticky liquid on her skin. Clearly satisfied with the service, the adventurer sighs and shudders at the touch. She praises Akira and points out places where he also needs to work and wipe down. But with a smile, she warns him not to try too hard, otherwise it will have its consequences. The remaining adventurers in line fidget with impatience. They discuss Akira, his abilities, are surprised by what is happening, and one of them succumbs to physiological reactions of the body. The girls can't wait any longer, so they also join the game, exclaiming that it's not fair at all. Akira, confused and shocked by their determination, looks at the girls with wide eyes, sweat from excitement running down his cheek. The adventurers are all different, dissimilar to each other, as are their preferences in this service. Each of them openly says what exactly she wants and where Akira should work especially hard. He is encouraged to be diligent and attentive to certain parts of the body. Akira received several compliments from girls who were clearly interested in him. They also made some pretty good offers. A dinner with drinks, which will be paid for by an adventurer with an asymmetrical haircut, an invitation to a mission at a party with a long-haired girl, with the subsequent warning that she would keep her hands to herself, and one brunette's interest in whether Akira had a boyfriend because she was ready to become one right now. The second girl is distracted by thoughts about whether this means they have a chance to be alone with Akira. Another adventurer in line points out to the others how cute Akira is when he blushes like that. The completely flushed guy lowers his eyes to the floor, tightly pressing his lips. He is surrounded by girls in their not very decent form, and they also make proposals corresponding to this type. Akira doesn't understand anything at all, because even if this is an upside-down world, what happened to common sense here? About an hour ago, in a spacious auditorium, the most ordinary extras listened to another lecture for the day from a teacher who was just as tired as they were. Akira, not even writing anything down, yawned sleepily and thought how boring this couple was. He looked at the surface of the table with glassy, sleepy eyes, completely unable to understand how it had happened that he was falling asleep. After all, he had slept well the night before. A pleasant haze of fatigue enveloped his body. His mind sank into fog, and his body suddenly began to glow with white light. Waking up from a moment of inaction and confusion, Akira jerked and feverishly began to turn around himself, trying to understand where he was. A pleasant-looking girl suddenly appeared in front of him. She put her hands forward and closed her eyes, as if casting a spell over him. The guy froze in bewilderment. Suddenly, the stranger screamed and jumped, happy that the summoning had worked, and now a man was sitting in the room in front of her. Akira was starting to get irritated, still wondering how he had ended up here. The girl asked him to calm down and introduced herself as the goddess Lucia, after which she asked if he was Akira Kusaba. Not understanding what kind of goddess she was, Akira asked how she knew his name, to which she, smiling smugly, explained that she had summoned him to this world and that naturally she knew his name. Akira was completely dumbfounded by her seemingly insane words. Lucia explained that yes, it may sound sudden and even shocking, but Akira really did end up in another world, different from the one he was used to living in. Akira exclaims that it must all just be a dream, that he was bored in class, so he fell asleep now. Akira pinches her cheek hard to make sure that her beliefs are true. At this time, the goddess explains that this is definitely not a dream. The guy is in the world of Lumesia, in the city of Carmelo in the kingdom of Lizaroth. After which the girl asks a question, wanting to make sure that Akira now believes her. Our hero still doesn't understand why he could have been called here. A little embarrassed, Lucia looks away and mumbles, thinking how to explain everything. Akira has his own guesses. What if it's one of those Isekai with a system? Akira, like most boys, fantasized about getting into the world of some game or novel, but he never thought that it would ever become a reality. Pursing his lips, he thinks that this is, of course, very cool, but nevertheless, he is not some kind of hero but just an ordinary student. The inspired goddess, catching up on the intrigue, slowly begins to reveal the true reason for the summoning, and this is making money. Akira, clearly disappointed, looks at her and asks a question, hoping that he is here to defeat some demon lord or other evil creature. Shattering the last remnants of the dream, Lucia, clearly not pretending, asks who the demon lord is, because this is the first time she has heard of something like this. Akira closes his eyes sadly. The guy thought that this was a classic story about a time traveler, when reading which he always admired such brave heroes. Lucia laughs at what she thinks is a good joke of Akira, because a fragile man cannot be a hero. Looking at his biceps, Akira wonders if he looks so fragile, since he thought he had an average build. Looking at him again in confusion, the goddess wonders if it is not normal for a man to be weak. After all, in this world, women are supposed to protect men. Akira is shocked by this information, and Lucia, in response, does not understand his reaction. Did she really say something strange? Akira raises an eyebrow and asks indignantly, what's wrong with their men? Blushing and drooling dreamily, Lucia replies that it's normal. Men here are fragile, modest, and charming. Our hero doesn't understand if she's joking. Getting excited and unleashing all her acting and theatrical abilities, the goddess launches into absolutely serious explanations that a man can be compared to a beautiful flower. He needs to be taken care of and protected. They are examples of sophistication, and all women adore men. The goddess is shaking with enthusiasm. She loudly screams about her desire to be popular among the guys. But, alas, she immediately adds that she is not succeeding. Puffing out her cheeks, she looks at Akira, asking him in a raised voice not to make her say this. After all, even girls sometimes feel ashamed. Akira, who didn't even ask Lucia about this, still apologizes for the sake of decency. She stares thoughtfully into the distance. Turning to Akira, the girl asks how everything works in the world from where the guy was summoned by her. Reluctantly, he begins to tell. He told me that in their world, everything is exactly the opposite. Women are more modest and shy, but men are interested in attracting a woman. His cheeks turn slightly red when he mentions this information. In the blink of an eye, Lucia jumps up to our hero, grabbing his sweatshirt near the chest. From such sudden closeness and pressure, the guy blushes even more than before. The girl asks in surprise if in their world men's sexual desire is really higher than women's, adding clarifyingly whether he is one of those mentioned above. She beams with delight and asks the guy a question that confuses him about how people like him look at girls. Then, expressing herself a little incomprehensibly for Akira, the goddess puts the question differently, making it even more frank. Lucia can't believe how amazing Akira's world is. Just imagining everything she heard just a minute ago makes her nose bleed, which the guy immediately helpfully points out. With a dreamy smile on her lips, she says that his world is a real paradise, which one can only dream of. Lucia expresses a sincere desire to be surrounded by lustful guys. Without losing hope, she asks if there is someone there.
I would be very happy if you subscribed to the channel, liked and wrote a comment, rating this manga on a scale from 1 to 10. Your opinion is very important to me. This will help me better understand what my audience is interested in, because you are really important to me.
Who would be able to summon her? Akira, letting the stream of fantasies pass him by, thinks that in his world this girl would be very slutty and accessible. Back to real time. Lost in sad thoughts and blushing cheeks, the guy ponders his fate, because if the local women have a strong desire, it means that he will be constantly pestered. The guild member who had interrupted the service rushes into the courtyard. She frowns and yells at the girls to keep in line, wondering why they are not wearing any clothes. Smiling sweetly at the worker, Akira thanks the girl for helping him out so much just now. Scolding him like a true boss, the girl says that the guy shouldn't have indulged them because who knows what could have happened to him. She clarifies that she went out to get towels, and Akira apologizes. The guild employee informs that if the guy is not against wiping sweat from naked, revealing parts of the body, he should have told her about it first. Our hero does not understand anything. With a smile on her face, the girl continues to explain. It turns out that Akira will receive a raise for such services, so the employee asks him to continue in the same spirit. Akira's motivation to work increased sharply, which the girls were also very happy about, immediately providing scope for his services. The guy was pleasantly surprised. Would they really give him a bonus for wiping that very part of the female body? It was unclear what the hell was going on here. One of the, so to speak, clients is amazed that Akira actually does this, reporting that up until this very moment, a guy has never touched her there. These comments make Akira feel embarrassed. The next girl, clearly enjoying the whole process, asks not to forget to wipe the bottom, because there is usually the most sweat there. Asking what he needs his hands for, she asks him to lift them up. Sweating from the heat and excitement, Akira continues to work hard. The third girl encourages him to try hard. She asks him to pay special attention and focus on one area. Akira's face seemed about to explode, it was so red. He really tries, his eyebrows drawn together, not taking his eyes off the process. The client reports that she is happy with the work and has enjoyed it. Seeing his reaction, she smiles playfully, closes her eyes, and asks if Akira has completely forgotten that he was supposed to wipe away his sweat. The last client apologizes for her physiological reaction to Akira's work, but then shamelessly adds that the reason is because the guy is so cute. She smiles and laughs immediately after, commenting on how our hero's ears have turned red. She thinks he's a cutie. Well, his first job in this strange world was surrounded by feminine charms in all their glory. Akira received great gratitude and a truly worthy reward for his work. At the same time, the goddess Lucia was literally crawling on the floor because she was too tired to even stand up. She did not understand why such a smart goddess should do manual labor. Already in the room where they stopped to spend the night, Lucia blissfully takes a shower, enjoying it with all her heart. Akira, who has already bathed, wipes his wet hair and complains about the thin walls in this place. Staring tiredly at the floor, he realizes how many events have happened in just this one day. It would seem that in the morning, Akira was just an ordinary student. He sat in monotonous classes, bored and falling asleep right at the table, and now he has become an adventurer in another world. Confident in her plan, Lucia says that if they want to make money, it would be better to become adventurers. She suggests that the guy register and immediately take on a quest to complete. Excited and confident, she storms into the guild building, shouting that her finances are running low and they need to earn money for food and shelter. Seeing how excited she is, Akira wonders how the goddess has lived up until now. The waitress who brought the orders meets them at the entrance. The girl welcomes them to the Adventurers Guild and informs them that they need to go to a certain counter to register. Inside the building, life is in full swing. Some are relaxing after missions, some are just drinking away the money they earned, and some are probably up to some shady business. Akira notes that the guild is combined with a tavern, so there are probably always a lot of people here. Lucia, walking in burgundy ahead, is clearly confident that she is ready for work and defense. They both approach the reception desk. The girls at the counter hand out identical registration forms, the empty fields of which must be filled in with the relevant information about yourself, after which they will be given a guild card. At this point, Akira realizes something. With all the fuss with the summoning and the work, he didn't even notice right away that he could speak and write without any problems. But it can't be that in another world, especially this one, they use the same Japanese language. He's inclined to think that the translation magic might have worked when he summoned. While Akira is busy with heavy thoughts, Lucia comments out loud on what she's writing. The receptionist is surprised that she's studying to be a goddess. When the questionnaires are finished, the girl takes them for herself, asking to wait a little while to receive the guild card. But suddenly, looking down at Akira's form, she falls into shock. The worker can't believe that someone like him would decide to become an adventurer. Akira doesn't understand what's wrong. A hope flares up inside the guy that a real Isekai classic is happening now. Perhaps he was given special abilities, although there were no hints of cheats until now, but who knows? Maybe Lucia just forgot to tell our hero something. The goddess says that someone like him is a rarity here. Akira wonders if the worker has realized that he is from another world, To which Lucia replies that it is not that at all. It is just that men are very rare here. She tells that Lumisia has a strong imbalance in the ratio of men to women, about 1 to 9. Akira is shocked by this information. Lucia continues, because, besides, many residents immigrate to another country for various reasons. Now there are no men in this city at all. Akira can't believe it and hopes that it's just a joke. But Lucia is serious. He really is the only man in the city. Akira realizes that all those looks that the adventurers gave him as soon as he entered the guild building were not his imagination. Lucia nods, because they really are devouring the guy with their eyes. The goddess explains that this is just an irresistible instinct of a woman who is hungry for a man. She also emphasizes that she has the same thing, so she asks Akira for permission to at least touch his hands. She looks like a maniac, and the guy urges her to calm down. Lucia doesn't see any problem. After all, she only needs to touch a little bit. Thinking about it later, Akira realizes that he was given this job precisely because, in this world, there is only one man for every 9 women, and he is the only guy in this city. In the hotel room, they are together again. Lucia, who has bathed, is relaxed and happy to be refreshed. Akira, full of enthusiasm, turns to her, wanting to discuss further actions, but she immediately screams in surprise, because the goddess is standing in the middle of the room naked and is not ashamed at all. It seems that she does not feel any discomfort from this. Turning excitedly towards the window, Akira asks her to have the conscience to at least cover herself, but the girl does not understand at all why he reacted like that. Lucia begins to think, wanting to build a logical chain of other people's behavior in her head. She remembers that in Akira's world, the relationship between a man and a woman is reversed, and this fact can only mean one thing. Lucia, full of confidence, asks if he really has the same reaction now as if she saw his chest. With a darkened face, Akira remains silent, still not turning to his interlocutor. She is shocked that the guess hits the bullseye. Showing herself off, the goddess, full of pride, asks him if he feels aroused when he sees this very part of the body, which is now minimally covered by a short towel. She is delighted with the information she has received. Lucia asks the guy if she is right. It is important for her to know if it is true that he is interested in women's breasts. Unable to withstand her pressure, Akira replies that it is natural, because he is a guy. The girl in turn emphasizes that maybe in their world this is normal. The embarrassed Akira shouts for the goddess to finally get dressed already. With a sly smile, the girl encourages him to watch as much as his heart desires. He, in turn, tells her to be more serious right now. But alas, Lucia can do nothing about it. After a while, they both got themselves in order and sat on the beds opposite each other. It was time to calculate how much they had earned that day. Lucia says that her fee was 5,000 minas. This is the monetary unit in this world. Akira's fee was 10,000 minas, including a special bonus. The guy remembers this. He is still amazed that he was given a bonus for wiping away sweat and increasing motivation. In the end, he received even more than for physical labor in the mines. Akira concludes that this world is very kind to men. Lucia continues to count. After food and lodging, they have about 10,000 left. She is glad that they were able to rent an inexpensive room today. The guy ponders the expenses further. Food in the tavern costs about 500 mina, water and snacks in the shop, about 100 mina. It turns out that the prices in currency are about the same as in Japanese yen. They've earned 10,000 between them, but Akira wants to know what's next. At this rate, it'll take them quite a while to earn 100 million. Lucia doesn't seem the least bit concerned about it. Back to their first meeting. Akira asks why the goddess summoned him to this world. He is just a student with absolutely no business acumen, and certainly no one will pay the ransom for him. Lucia replies that she embellished the reality a little, because in reality she is still a disciple of the goddess. In order to officially become a goddess, she needs to pay 100 million mina to the Goddess Association. Well, the girl thinks that the association is very greedy. Akira apparently did not understand anything. Summing up, the girl says that this is why she decided to become an adventurer and earn money. Akira does not share her enthusiasm. He wonders, was he really summoned to another world for such a trifle? But Lucia denies this, because there are other reasons. The long and hard life of an adventurer needs a little support. Lucia needs a male squire to increase her motivation, and that is why she summoned Akira from another world. Lucia is sure that this baby is her hope. Akira protests against such a nickname, but says nothing else. The girl is clearly enjoying the situation. She can't help but smile at the thought of living next to a man from now on. She hopes that one day they will find themselves in a compromising, not at all ambiguous situation. Akira, however, does not share her delight. He asks if the future goddesses could bring him back. Living in another world is very interesting, but he still needs to think about it. Speaking of which, Lucia is quick to upset the guy, because it was a summoning spell with the condition type until the summoner becomes a goddess, so, smiling sweetly, Lucia says that this is impossible. Akira is shocked and dissatisfied with the answer he received. In the present tense, Akira is talking about earnings. In order for them to earn 100 million at 10,000 mina a day, they will need to work non-stop for 10,000 days. And, accordingly, it will take almost 30 years. Lucia tells him to slow down, because Akira forgets about the expenses of daily life. They both need to eat well and sleep well. Summing up all the information, Akira comes to the conclusion that he will never return. Even if everything goes smoothly, Akira will be almost an old man by the time they reach their destination. He thinks sadly about having to spend the rest of his days here. Lucia encourages him not to be discouraged, as these are just the current conditions. She tells him that high-ranking adventurers are paid more. When that happens, they will quickly accumulate the amount they need. After such a confident and firm speech, the girl destroys the entire atmosphere in the air with just one word: probably. Sighing tiredly, Akira asks what this probably of hers means. Lucia doesn't want to remain just a goddess's apprentice any longer, so why not think positively? She yawns deeply, clearly feeling the fatigue that has accumulated over the day, and suggests that they call it a day. The girl says that she has been swinging a pickaxe all day, and her body is clearly at its limit. Akira agrees with her. The morning is wiser than the evening. Tomorrow they should think carefully. Stretching, Lucia looks straight at Akira and either playfully or seriously says that at such moments she dreams of sleeping with a cute boy. With flirtatiousness and an appropriate pose, Lucia seriously invites him to make her fantasies come true. Akira realizes that by sleep, she does not mean something harmless. The guy points to the distance between their beds and emphasizes that she should not dare to cross the line. The future goddess considers this very cruel. She asks for just one chance for herself, but Akira only sighs tiredly. He is in his prime, his libido is also fine, but because of all this uncertainty about the future, he is not in the mood at all. The girl is perplexed. Is Akira really going to sleep in this situation? And he is going to. His first day in this world passed at a dizzying pace. After some time, when they both should have been asleep, sighs and stirring began to spread throughout the room. Akira's brain, clouded by fatigue, throws up memories of the adventurers from today's work. He opens his eyes and blushes, trying to forget this episode. From all this, his head is swelling, and there is no way to sleep. Akira stares at the ceiling without sleep, not knowing what else to do. After spending the day in another world where the relationships between men and women were reversed, he thought that these new realities would exhaust him so much that he would fall asleep as soon as he got into bed. But now he definitely can't calm down because he's sleeping next to a girl about his age. Every time he closes his eyes, images and memories of the past day immediately pop into his head. Akira can't help it. He's never seen so many female charms at once before. But he didn't just see them. He touched their bare skin, wiped the sweat off it. This was his direct responsibility. Shaking his head from side to side, the boy urges himself to calm down and distract himself with something else, otherwise he will never fall asleep. The image of that amazing work is literally imprinted in his brain, firmly lodged there, and is not going to disappear. Turning to Lucia, he thinks that perhaps he should not have refused her offer. Memories of that evening immediately flash through his mind. When Lucia came out of the shower and was surprised by his reaction, when she asked him in an excited voice with a hint of delight if he felt arousal when he saw the naked parts of her body in front of him. Akira's face is burning. The memories are only making it worse. He needs to calm down. He tries to distract himself with breathing exercises when some sounds come from the girl's bed again. They are very unambiguous, so he quickly guesses what exactly the future goddess is doing so late at night. Wrapping his head in a blanket and hoping that it will save him from embarrassment, Akira cannot believe what he has witnessed. Akira is caught up in a whirlwind of thoughts, watching the girl from behind. But one of them glows red, standing out from the rest. Lucia is actually doing it right here. She clutches the pillow with one hand and lowers the other one down. She clenches her teeth, as if trying to be quieter, but it clearly doesn't work well. She can't sleep peacefully when a guy is lying next to her. The girl is unable to hold her thoughts in her head. She says them out loud in a quiet whisper over and over again. In her opinion, Akira is such a defenseless guy. Listening to all this, Akira himself is in shock and cannot understand what she is imagining. Flushing and silently observing the situation, he finally comes to one simple truth. In Lumesia, chastity and desire have changed places. Akira muses that if the girls here have libidos on par with the young men from his world, then that can only mean one thing. At the moment, they are both equally aroused. At the same time, Lucia lifts and throws off her t-shirt, lamenting that it is too hot for her. Looking at the ceiling, the future goddesses practically dreams of how Akira would wipe her sweat off too. First the breasts themselves, and then maybe something else. With each such thought, her hands go lower and lower, sliding over the body. She fantasizes that if she wants, Akira can lick. And in a special place too. Her hand was already wandering there, replacing her fantasies. Her eyes are clouded with excitement right now. Her hands do not stop stimulating for a second. Lucia openly admits that she wants Akira to touch her. The guy secretly listening to her definitely does not understand what her intimate place has to do with it. After all, what he does is a service of wiping sweat from his chest, but not at all what the girl fantasizes about while lying in bed next to him. The memories of that day rush back into his head. Akira remembers how the girls teased him during the day. He was a water carrier after all. So, smiling playfully, the adventurers urged him to quickly get his hose and fill them all with water. They explained this by saying that otherwise they would all simply dry up. Without him and his help. Akira thought with slight indignation that even for this world, this behavior was too much. Right now, however, he should just calm down. Lucia and what she does starts to push him to crazy actions. Meanwhile, she really continued to enjoy this activity, not paying attention to anything around her. Lucia was talking out loud about how she had made one of her body parts even more sensitive than usual. Now, all it took was a light touch, and there would be an immediate reaction in the form of sounds escaping from her insides. Akira, embarrassed as hell, wonders what she's thinking. Did the future goddesses really think he wouldn't notice all this? She definitely should have kept her voice down if she thought he'd continue to sleep peacefully. It seems her attraction really is on the level of a teenage boy, and Akira could jump out of bed right now because every patience has its limits, especially in such a situation. He could have jumped up to the girl, grabbed her ankles, and stopped any movement on her part. She would have been naturally surprised that Akira had woken up, as if she hadn't made a noise a few minutes ago that everyone could hear, and the guy would have told her about it, looking straight into her eyes and intending to shame her. She would just smile broadly and absolutely shamelessly, not at all embarrassed by this whole situation. She immediately realized that he had understood everything long ago. Lucia would have offered him to touch her, but Akira smiled cheekily, because what was the point of unnecessary movements if the girl was already completely ready for him? He would have raised his voice, lamenting that he had already endured for so long, and now it was finally time to release the tension. Lucia almost cried from delight, and the fact that she finally felt Akira the way she wanted and desired. But all this will remain just a fantasy, because Akira is too inexperienced to arrange something like this in reality. He does not understand how he should act. Lucia, without slowing down for a second, seems to be thinking about what will happen if she decides to attack Akira in his sleep. The guy is on the edge from such information. Lucia falls into her most intimate dreams. She would like to take off Akira's underwear while he sleeps, and does not know about it. And then she would definitely sit on top, rubbing against him with a sensitive part of her body. She is sure that this would give her colossal pleasure. The future goddess is on edge just thinking about it all. She suddenly wonders if Akira's machine even works in his sleep. On the next bed, Akira himself can no longer contain himself, watching Lucia fantasize about all sorts of obscenities with him in the lead role. Still wrapped in a cocoon of blankets, he puts his hand down his pants. Lucia, still oblivious to everything around her, lies with her back to her neighbor and, at the same time, the most important vicious fantasy. Her desire to feel Akira inside is quite strong. She is simply sure that it will be pleasant. Having shed the last of her clothing, she picks up her pace, screaming obscenities louder and louder, wanting so badly to make her fantasies come true. The guy watching this almost has a nosebleed. This picture confuses, excites, and arouses him at the same time. Meanwhile, Lucia is already on the edge and can't take it anymore. Her voice breaks into a muffled squeak through clenched teeth, and at the same time the girl reaches her peak, throwing her head back and closing her eyes. It's all over. Akira, stunned by his own end, indulges in reflection. Today he was surrounded by women all day, who were sure to pester him and show him their half-naked bodies. He also touched women's charms for the first time during his work of wiping sweat. And at the very end of this crazy day, the girl he just met satisfied herself next to him. The guy thinks that he got into a really crazy world. And if this was just his first day in this new world, then what could happen next? It's an interesting question. But Akira thinks that right now he should take care of something else. Namely, to change underwear. It is not at all comfortable to sleep in wet. After all these simple machinations, Akira felt better and was finally able to sleep normally. During the day, Akira watches as the future goddess fails to deal with a simple slug on a mission. Breathing heavily and out of breath, Lucia asks to wait just a second longer and she will show what she is capable of. The next moment she uses some special move of hers, calling it a brain-smashing punch. It was basically a full swinging overhead punch in a straight line from top to bottom, but the little slime doesn't care. He recovers again without any problems, ready for another attack from the enemies. Lucia is terribly indignant about this. Akira says that it looks like they will have a long day. The girl needs to kill 10 slimes, but now he is not sure that with such success, she will have time. As if to make her feel even more ashamed, the guy mentions that slimes are the weakest of all known and questable monsters. Let's get back to what happened the morning after that ill-fated night. At breakfast, Lucia suggested taking a quest from the guild based on subjugating monsters. She reminds him that she spent the whole day yesterday swinging a pickaxe, and she's tired, but she barely earned anything. Lucia thinks that it's better to earn money by subjugating enemies, since it's a much more suitable job for an adventurer goddess. Akira corrects her without emotion, since Lucia is not a goddess at all, but just an apprentice. The guy says that he doesn't care what kind of work to do, but yesterday's options seem simpler than what is proposed now. Indignant Lucia screams that she won't go there again even if he promises to wipe the sweat off her too. With a glimmer of hope inside, Akira points out that the two of them only signed up yesterday and asks if they'll even be given a quest. With a smart look, the girl agrees that they are indeed the lowest-ranked newbies, but there's nothing to worry about. There are all sorts of quests for people like them. For example, search and extraction of materials requested by the customer. These can be precious stones, bones, or other parts of animals, rare plants, liquids, and other natural trifles. The second option is to explore various dungeons. For example, for hidden caches or high-ranking artifacts. And the last one is the subjugation of monsters, which is what Lucia suggested. The amount of monetary reward varies depending on the difficulty of the quest. The previous quest was quite simple, since they both only provided labor, so the reward was low. On the other hand, it seems that such tasks are popular in their own way, since they are safe. Interrupting her reasoning, Akira asks if the girl understands that he will be of no use in battles. Akira is an ordinary student who suddenly arrived from peaceful Japan. These thoughts arose in his head and burst out for one simple reason: a lack of understanding of what exactly submission is. If he means murder, he is not sure that he can handle it, even if it is not a person, but some kind of monster. But Lucia understands everything. She says that men are created exclusively for beauty. No woman would ever think of forcing him to fight. Akira can leave all the work to her, and Lucia promises that she will defeat all the monsters in a moment. Our hero doubtfully thinks that for some reason there are monsters in this world, but the demon lord is absent. The future goddess states that he can simply watch her from behind, and that Akira will instantly fall in love with her after seeing what the goddess is capable of. The guy still emphasizes that she is just a student. He thinks that from her appearance you can't tell that she is strong. The next moment, he wonders what kind of monsters she will fight. Confident and pleased with herself, she calls slimes without hesitation. Akira is disappointed and a little surprised by this answer. Does she really mean those low-level monsters from typical RPGs? Lucia explains that there's been quite a bit of rain here lately, so the slime population has increased dramatically. Still concerned that slimes seem to be generally considered weak monsters, Akira asks point-blank if that's the case in their world, and if they can even be made into money if that's the case. Lucia answers in the affirmative. Laughing loudly, she declares that anyone who loses to some slime is unworthy of the title of adventurer. And today, the future goddess intends to make a lot of money. And right now, Watching her unsuccessful attempts, Akira recalls the words she said. Lucia's head is spinning. The monster really was a lot. It was more difficult than she imagined. Her hands are starting to go numb from fatigue and effort, and her strength is slowly leaving her. But Lucia has no intention of giving up and losing, so with a new blow she splits the slimes in two. But to everyone's disappointment, it begins to regenerate into one whole mass again. Out of uncontrollable anger, Lucia begins to hit the monster with her staff over and over again, as if hoping that it will work. Akira is nearby, a little surprised that the slime makes such loud sounds. He didn't know they could scream. Not far away, a group of adventurers are trying to complete the same task without success. They are angry and indignant that the slime is repeatedly divided and then bonded into one whole mass. One of them hopefully says that splitting the slime is a good thing, so they can kill more. Akira notices their efforts. He asks the future goddesses with doubt if slimes are really weak monsters. The girl answers affirmatively, backing it up with the fact that, as Akira can see, the monster doesn't really resist, so she can hit it as much as she wants. But while Lucia was distracted by Akira, the slime managed to jump up and hit her hard right in the stomach. The sudden collision makes her feel sick. The boy asks if she's okay. Lucia quickly replies that even if the monster hits back, it's still just a lump of water, so it can't do much harm to her. With renewed strength, she swings her staff at it again. Akira is getting tired of watching the same scene over and over again, which is evident from his expression. He asks if the slime is still alive, and Lucia nods in the affirmative, but she notices that the constant regeneration is draining its magical powers. And this means that sooner or later the monster will run out of steam, become empty, and will not be able to recover. Suddenly, Lucia freezes, realizing that this task is no different from the work with the pickaxe that she did yesterday. And indeed, even the hand movements are the same. Meanwhile, Akira remembers what the girl told him earlier. He remembers the increase in the slime population that happens after it rains. It turns out that this magical creature is animated by local magic. Lucia herself said at breakfast that slimes are easy to defeat with magic, and that is why she will take care of everything herself. Although, as she admitted more quietly, elemental magic is a bit difficult for her. Putting the details together in his head, Akira is completely at a loss as to why the future goddess continues to try to destroy the monster with her staff. He asks why Lucia doesn't use magic against the enemy, causing her to freeze, unable to immediately come up with an answer. Akira begins to doubt that the girl can't actually use magic. But then what was the point of all her bravado? Lucia tries to justify herself by saying that she does have magic, but she just has a narrower specialization. She starts to rant, saying that it's some kind of special magic, but she doesn't have time to finish. The monster catches the distracted enemy off guard and strikes her in the back, pinned to the ground by the slime's weight, which also bounces on top of her. Lucia is indignant that this creature took advantage of the moment when she was talking to Akira. Akira, who does not understand the girl's actions, asks why she does not use magic in this case. Is she a masochist? The guy's next suggestion has a paralyzing effect on the future goddess. Akira says that perhaps magic doesn't work on slime, and the girl is at a loss, sweating and worrying. But she immediately accepts defeat, admitting that it really is useless against these monsters. Akira says that in that case, the quest was not worth taking. Lucia knew that physical attacks would not be very good against slimes, but decided that the signature brain-splattering punch would be quite enough. Akira looks at the girl skeptically, raising one eyebrow in genuine confusion. He asks if she means that she named her move that way. Remembering his recent observations, he understands that the other adventurers on this mission also use physical force. Akira, tired of waiting, comes to the conclusion that at this rate they will never finish this task. If it is only necessary to hit, then there is a chance that he can do it quite well. He picks up a thick stick from the ground and, swinging it, hits another slime hard. Lucia wants to stop him, trying to warn him about something, and at the same time does not stop trying to get up from the ground. Akira frowns. This is proving to be a bit more difficult than he thought. Suddenly, the slime starts moving, clinging to the stick from all sides. The boy almost recoils, scared by what is happening. Meanwhile, Lucia has finally managed to shake off the annoying slime and get up from the ground. As soon as she was able to stand firmly on her feet, the guy screams for help. She immediately turns to the source of the sound and is amazed at what she sees. Akira is lying on the ground, and the slime has grown in size and is now clinging to the entire lower part of the unfortunate guy's body. He explains that he simply hit the monster, and this is what happened to him in the end. Lucia explains that slimes are weak, but they can stick to people, and subsequently suck the life out of them. Akira, seriously scared, does not understand why the hell she did not tell him about this before. Lucia continues to pour out details. Moreover, slimes use their flexible body made of slime, which increases the efficiency of sucking. And while they are talking, the monster has already begun its transformation. Akira can't believe what he's seeing. They, slimes, can actually transform to seduce their prey. And right now, a naked slime girl is standing in front of him. Lucia continues to rant, not rushing to do anything. She says that these monsters use magical power to stick to men and suck all the juices out of them, because the combat power of the victims is not very high. Some say that slimes are the embodiment of women's erotic fantasies. The future goddess shamelessly drools at the sight before her and the fact that this situation is happening. Her face takes on the most stupid expression possible, and her cheeks characteristically turn red. She hurries to reassure Akira that there is nothing to worry about. After all, if they suck out a little, he will not die. For the sake of decency, she asks if she can watch the whole process at least once. But she clearly does not need his permission. Unhappy with the strange situation he found himself in again, Akira yells at the monster to stop jumping on him and rubbing her hips like that. Shameless Lucia continues to comment. She is so sorry that rainwater does not have the ability to dissolve clothes. But nevertheless, thanks to this, the new slime body is quite transparent, and the future goddesses can see everything that is most important and interesting to her. Confused and dejected, Akira shouts that he will remember this to Lucia later. Meanwhile, the slug does not stop in his machinations. She smiles cloyingly, obviously not understanding why the guy is so displeased. After all, his face, red all the way to his ears, and something lower down, speak for themselves. Slime seems ready to nod in agreement. Not understanding how to get out of this situation, panicky thoughts take over the guy's head. In his opinion, doing this with a strange, horny girl, no matter what race she is still okay. But losing your virginity to some slime is outrageous. Akira asks Lucia to turn away from the sight. The drooling girl's expression immediately changes, becoming serious and even determined. Gritting his teeth as hard as he can, he realizes that he can't stand this torture any longer. But help came from where he least expected. With a good swing, Lucia knocks off the head of the slime's female body, and it falls to the ground. The future goddess, with a drop of self-confidence, says that watching his corruption is quite interesting, but she definitely cannot allow the slime to receive his seed first. Lucia asks about his condition as if nothing had happened, and Akira calls her a concerned goddess in response. Laughing, she reminds him that she is just a student. Wanting to shame him, Lucia emphasizes that she is not the only one who is turned on here. The guy is embarrassed to the very edge. He instantly flares up, and emotions burst out in a cry that this is a normal physiological reaction of the body to excessive stimulation. And finally, having cooperated with other adventurers nearby, they manage to complete their mission by evening. Raising their weapons, they all admire Akira. He is the new treasure of Carmelo City. He belongs to them, and no inorganic beings have the right to touch precious men. With Akira as bait for the slimes, the adventurers are confident that, at this rate, they will soon all meet their quota. Obedient Akira, standing on a small rise, thinks that for the adventurers, this is probably not scary at all. Soon they return to the guild to turn in the quest and get their reward. Lucia said that defeating slimes was so much fun she enjoyed it, and that very scene was imprinted in her brain for a long time. Perhaps because of it, he will not even be able to sleep tonight. Well, today they earned 20,000 min for killing 10 slimes. Yesterday in the mines, they earned less, although not much. The total fee and bonus amounted to 15,000 min. How long will it take Lucia to raise 100 million min and finally become a goddess? Satisfied, Lucia is glad that she got not only money today but also a great show. She definitely wants to repeat it. Akira immediately protests that no more slimes. Later that evening, Lucia indulges in yet another of her provocative fantasies for specific purposes. This time, Akira is surrounded by several slimes that have taken the form of women with very impressively sized charms. She herself is an outside observer in this fantasy. He comments on every movement and every plan of the monsters, as well as every change that occurs with the guy's body. They clearly want to get their slimy little hands to the most important and necessary part of the body now, and there, in turn, it responds to stimulation, increasing in size. While talking to the fantasy Akira victim, she asks if it bothers him that they are slimes. Satisfied with the silence, she smiles, calling the guy a lecherous dog who is completely different from the men of their world. The real Akira on the next bed is already shaking with indignation and embarrassment because the girl is doing it again. She whispers something about the obscene sounds Akira makes in the fantasy, but in reality, only she is heard. The guy is outraged that she is masturbating again. Moreover, the events of today are reflected in her vulgar fantasies, and this is too much. Thinking back on the strange situation he found himself in today, he realizes how stupid he was to think for even a second that the girl could be relied upon. She turned out to be a common pervert. Is Lucia really gonna do this every night now? Since they won't be able to move out of the small double room anytime soon, it would be better to stop her right now. Otherwise, Akira will have to suffer from lack of sleep. That's why, full of determination, he gets up from his seat. He thinks that if some girl caught him in the act, it would be embarrassing, pathetic, and he would want to sink into the ground. But in this situation, he will have to be ruthless. Approaching the stranger's bed, he awkwardly calls out to the future goddess. She clearly did not expect this, so she freezes in place, and her whole life seems to flash before her eyes. Akira tells her that he hears absolutely everything. Unambiguous sounds, comments on her fantasies, and sighs coming from her side. She, however, remains silent in response, and then she pretends to be asleep, simulating snoring. Akira gets angry and grabs her blanket, trying to pull it off and calling for her to stop acting out this performance. Lucia asks him to stop, because she is just trying to pretend that nothing happened. The guy is outraged by the nonsense this goddess of masturbation is talking. Lucia, flushed with shame, tells him not to give her new strange nicknames. Akira keeps trying to pull the blanket off her for some reason, and he succeeds. The girl doesn't even try to cover herself. She just looks at him shyly and puffs out her cheeks. Akira realizes that she's wearing nothing but underwear, and he realizes that it's embarrassing. Akira starts a conversation about how there is nothing wrong with masturbation, but Lucia could have just done it less obviously, and there would have been no problem either. Indignant and agitated, she tries to shift the blame to the guy who was eavesdropping on her, but at that volume, literally anyone would have heard her. Lucia says that he hurt her heart, and Akira reminds her that she has been jerking off to him for the second day in a row. The girl jumps up and raises her voice, screaming that nothing can be done about it. They are in the same room, just the two of them, so feeling aroused is completely natural in such a situation. Lucia tells him to thank her for not simply attacking him instead. Akira tells her to calm down and stop yelling, because the neighbors might hear them. This world with its inverted concept of chastity. Lucia can't stand it anymore. With tears in her eyes, she screams and asks our hero to help her get pleasure. Otherwise, she will never be able to recover from such a disgrace. If Akira does not help, she will not be able to work tomorrow, or the day after tomorrow, or the rest of her life either. Lucia throws a tantrum like a child, falling onto the bed, and says that she will hate work. Akira watches silently from the side. He reminds her that she needs all this herself, because without money, he will become a goddess to Anya. I recall his recent words. She screams and cries again that since she is a goddess of masturbation, she can remain a student. Then she won't even have to work, because she will be jerking off to Akira all day long. But, most importantly, in this situation, Akira himself will not be able to return to his world. With her hands folded in the appropriate prayer gesture, she begged and pleaded with the guy to help with at least a little stimulation, to which he eventually agrees. But since he has no experience, Akira hopes that Lucia will tell him what to do. He even thinks that the guy is deliberately teasing her with such phrases, but Akira just wants to go to bed early. Lucia sits on his lap, and he in turn begins to work with one hand, holding the girl by the waist with the other for convenience. He asks if she is doing everything right, but she only remains silent and sighs. Akira is worried and asks her to answer at least something, because otherwise he will not understand. Eventually, the girl speaks up and guides Akira, encouraging him to continue in the same spirit. She is already at her limit, desperately clinging to the boy and breathing heavily. Soon it's all over, to both their great pleasure and relief. The next morning, they go down to the Adventurers Guild again. Lucia looks as radiant as ever and ready for anything. It seems like her day is going to be a good one. It's as if all the juices were squeezed out of Akira, and the future goddess immediately notices his sour look. Our hero mentally emphasizes that Lucia is surprisingly cheerful today.